Hi everyone, let's go ahead and get started with image background removal and replacement using ML and AI. In previous lecture, I had shown you how you can remove the background from your image and then you can replace this background with some other image. But in that lecture, I did not tell you how you can build an application or front-end user interface so that you can control these images and the accuracy of the background removal. So that I'm going to show you in this lecture, and I'll be building here a user interface something like this, where you can upload two images and then you can choose which image you want to use as the background and which image you want to use as the subject. So in this case, I'll be using here left hand side as the subject and this one as the background. So thereafter, this background will be removed and I'll be also providing there a threshold. With the help of this threshold slider, you would be able to control how accurate you want to remove your image background. Alright, so let's go ahead and see our repository which we built last time. So I have uploaded that code on my repository that you can get from Lakshmi Merit image background removal and replacement using ML and AI. From there, I had shown you how you can remove the background. Alright, you can also see a YouTube video where I have seen how you can remove this, and you can search there image background removal KGP Talkie and you will get this video. Otherwise, you can get this link from this application itself. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with building this application. So for this application, I'll be using Streamlit. Alright, so this is a Streamlit application, and you can visit to Streamlit application by typing streamlit.io. With this, you will visit a Streamlit application. Now you see there, you need to install this Streamlit application. You can simply write pip install Streamlit and it will install this Streamlit. There are many APIs available for this Streamlit which you can get from clicking on the dock. Then you will see this whole documentation how you can use the Streamlit. Moreover, if we talk it on a high level, it has some API references which you can use, like it has st.write, that's the streamlit.write, which we will be using to write our data. Then it has the st.title, where we will be also writing the titles, and we will be also using there the st.slider, and we will be also using st.image utility. Alright, so these utilities we will be using to build our application which we had seen here. So basically this one is title, Streamlit title, and here we have Streamlit checkbox, and there we have Streamlit file upload, and these are Streamlit image API, and again here this is Streamlit title API, and there Streamlit slider API, and then again Streamlit image API. So these are the some of the APIs which we will be using. Those you can see these APIs here, like the status elements, we have progress bar, we have spinner, we have balloons, error box, and so many other type of the status boxes are there. We have layouts there, sidebar, columns, these columns, tabs, containers, expander, all these things are available there. In the utility, we have so many the APIs there. So these things we will be using to build our application. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started building our application. First of all, you need to create here a file which you can name as app.py. Alright, so I created this file, but before that let me tell you the few things. This is the same repository which I had uploaded here on my Git folder. I downloaded this Git repo. After downloading this Git repo, Then I created these two folders, masked and the original. Inside this original, I put here some of the images. Out of these two images I'll be using as the subject, and these two images I'll be using as the background. And then the processed image will be placed inside this masked folder. Alright, so you can download this folder image, you can download this repository image background removal and replacement using AI and ML, and then you can create here two folder, masked and the original. Alright, then you can put here some of your images like the subject image and background image. Thereafter you can create here a Python application, a Python file by clicking on here, or you can click on new file. Any of these two methods you can use to create app.py. Alright, so I'm going to write here application which will remove the background. I need to install first of all Streamlit. So you can install Streamlit. You need to get here and then click on terminal and then new terminal. So with this new terminal, it's gonna activate Py 38, that means the Python 3.8. Do remember here one thing, you need to activate here Python 3.8. If you are using Python other than 3.8, as of now, by the time this video is being made, your rembg will not install on a Windows machine. I have not tested on Mac and Ubuntu, but if it is not installing properly, then you need to shift to Python 3.8. So here I'm going to install pip install Streamlit. I'm just going to copy and paste it here. Then it's going to install the Streamlit. After that, you need to also install here rembg. So pip install rembg, that means remove background. And after this we will have all the necessary Python packages installed on our computer. Alright, we need to wait for a while here. And by the way, if you are wondering which application I'm using here Visual Code Studio, or you can say that a VS Code Studio, and in short it is also known as VS Code. I'm gonna again write here pip install rembg, that means pip install remove background. If you are wondering what is this I have shown in my previous lecture. This remove background rembg is a Python package based on a latest machine learning algorithms which removes background from the image. I would recommend you to watch my previous lecture if you want to have more knowledge about the rembg. So we have installed here Streamlit and rembg. Now you are ready to write your application like we discussed here. So we will install building our application with the title of the Streamlit, and then we will try to add each of these components of the Streamlit. Alright, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started with app.py. All these things are already done. Here I'm gonna just close it. Now I do not need this as of now. Then some of the libraries I have already imported to save some time, like import Streamlit as st, import image from the PIL, import OS, request and bytes IO. So these are libraries which I imported. Other than that, some of these things I have set it in advance, like I do here st.setPageConfig, layout is wide. So in case of the Streamlit, we have a two layout, a compact layout and the wide layout. So in case of the wide layout, your application will populate in a full window. Thereafter we have st.title and the right, like we were discussing here. This is st.title. So it's going to set here image background removal and replacement using ML and AI. Thereafter we have here st.right, again you see there st.write is this one. So this says that this is a simple image background removal and replacement web app using AI and ML there. Thereafter I have written here two simple line of the code to generate, in fact to create two directory here, masked and original. But at the start of this lecture I told you I created these manually, but if you don't want to create it manually, then you can run these code to create it manually. But again, if you don't create it, then how would you put these folders inside these files inside these folders? Alright, other than that, you see there is a checkbox there which says that use local image. So the way I have made it here, there are two ways to provide the image to your application. One way to provide the image to your application is you can use web URLs directly, like we have used in our previous lectures where we used a direct web URL. And the other way to use that, we can use their drag and drop or a file uploads. Alright, so these two we will be implementing here based on the value selected at use local image. Alright, by now I think that the most of the things must be clear to you. So I'm gonna create first of all that flag. I write here use local image. Alright, so I write here use local image st, that's the Streamlit which I imported here, import Streamlit as st. Thereafter I write here I write here st dot checkbox. Alright, so I write here checkbox, and thereafter I write here value. So in fact it's kind of the title, or you can say a kind of the label to my checkbox. So I write here use local image, and the default value I'm gonna use here as the true, and so that it can use a local as the default selected. In fact, yeah, use local image, I'm gonna put it in fact a false. So if its default value is false, that means it is not going to use their local images. So what it is going to use, we are going to implement a kind of we are going to implement here two ways to read our images. One local, and the other way where we can read images directly from the internet. Alright, let's go ahead and now write if use local image. That means if use local image value is true, that means if it is selected, then what will happen? I'm gonna simply put here st dot write, and in this I write here that selected local image. Alright, that's all. Let's go ahead and run this application. So to run this application, I have written here command. You can simply use Streamlit run app.py. So app.py is the file name. I need to again open my terminal. So I have my terminal. You can simply click on here and then click on this terminal. Now this terminal was already open, and if it is not open, do remember you need to come back in this folder. Otherwise you can simply right click here and then you can say that open in integrated terminal. So the idea is to put your cursor inside your folder or working directory. So here this is the working directory. In this I run here Streamlit run.app.py, but again do remember you must select a proper Anaconda environment which is using Python 3.8, because I'm using here Python 3.8. If I write just Python, you will see there I'm using Python 3.8. If you don't use, you may get the error while installing the rembg. Alright, so in the same environment where I installed rembg and where I installed my other app, rembg and the Streamlit, there I'm opening Streamlit application. Now this Streamlit application, you can see it here clearly. Alright, so in this image background removal and replacement using ML, you have used local image. This is the checkbox. As soon as I select this, it says that the selected local image. That means after selecting, it's actually going inside this if condition. Alright, I'm just gonna close it as of now. Otherwise, you can just drop it down there so that if we need it later on, we can use this. Alright, perfect. Okay, so once this part is the verified, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create here 2 columns. In these 2 columns, I'll be building my project, something like you see there. These are the 2 columns I'm going to create, 1 and the 2. In the first column, I'll be putting there the subject image, and in the second column, I'll be putting there the background image. Alright, so I create here 2 columns. I write there the calls is equal to st.columns, and in that I put there the number 2. That means it is going to create the 2 columns, something like this. And then in the call 0, in the calls 0, I mean to say that this is array which have 2 columns. So for the first column, I'm gonna read our file. So I write here file uploader. Do you see there? Call 0.file uploader. In that I write first here choose subject image. Alright, I'm gonna choose here the subject image, and I'm gonna define here the type of the file which I'm gonna use for my purpose. I define here JPG, and then I define here the PNG, and then I define here the JPEG file. So these are the file format which I'll be using. Other than that, the key I'm gonna use it here subject. Alright, so these things, once I use this, again you can go back to your applications there, and then you can click on always rerun. So whenever you make a change in your application, then you can say that always rerun there. So our first image uploader is now ready. Let's go back to our application once again. So in this application, now we need to read our subject image. So I write here the subject file equal to choose subject image. I mean to say that the calls 0 file uploader. Once you get this, then you need to get the subject name. That means the file name. So I write here subject name is equal to the subject file dot name. So with this, I'll be getting here the name of the file which I had, which I actually choose there. Alright, so I get there. Whenever I choose, whenever I choose there a file to upload, I'll be getting the name of that file there. Alright, perfect. Well, so there are the some of these error. Don't worry about that. It will keep coming unless you select the file. So if I select a file, inside here we have, let's go ahead in original, and I select here national horse, and as soon as I click on open, now this file is selected. Now this particular part is not the throwing the error because we have now our subject file name there. Alright, thereafter again I'm going to get the path of our subject file. Since we had chosen from this our folder itself, and do remember, choose files from the original folder whenever you choose a file from there, because I'm building a path based on that. So I build here path os.path.join, and then I'm using here this original folder name, and thereafter the subject name. Alright, so with this I'll be building a subject file, and you can simply write again st.write, and in that I'm gonna write here subject name, and I'm also gonna write here st.write subject file. Alright, these two things I'm gonna write there. Now you can see that it's running there, and as soon as I choose there use local image, I need to use a local image here. I choose this image, click on open. Now you see this is the name of the file and this is the path of the file. Alright, perfect. Once all these things are done, you can simply delete this one. Again, I'm gonna choose for background file, and I'll be doing the same thing like I did here. I'm just gonna copy this whole thing from here, and then I'll change the name of these things. So I write here background file, alright, and then this is going to be the background file dot name, and here I write here background name. In fact, I can simply copy this whole thing from there. I can see here background file and then background name. So do remember, you have to put your background and the subject file inside the original folder. Other than that, here I say choose background image. Once all these things are done, now you can again click on use local image. You can choose a file here. You can choose a file, but before that I'm not seeing here background file uploader. It is because I think I have made a mistake here. Seems like that mistake is here, because for this one I'm selecting call 0, and for this one I'm also selecting call 0. I should be selecting here call 1. Let's go ahead and see there. Let me close this one. Alright, just see it here. Now what do we see there? If we select this, alright, seems like a problem still. It should be able to show there. Okay, seems like this because of this key error. Actually, I need to write here the background. Alright, so key is background. These two keys need to be the different. If these two keys are the same, it will be throwing the error there. That's why that error was coming. Let's go ahead and see it here. Now you should be able to see that. Alright, I'm gonna just rerun it again. Seems like some problem is coming. Okay, subject file dot name is not there. That's why that error is actually coming. Alright, so this error is coming, so this is not getting actually executed. So if that is not getting executed, I need to provide here, the file. Once I provide this file, you should be able to see it here as well. So the best way to show these together, what you can do, you can go back and modify your code. You can copy the subject file from background file from there, and then you can put that here. Now these two things will be coming first, and then it will be executing this statement. Now if you go back, as soon as you select use local image, these two choose subject image and choose background image is coming there. Click on browse file. I choose here subject, and then click on click on background image. I choose here probably, let's say, this field. Now you can see there it has this file and it has this file. So these two files are chosen. Now we have these two files. Once you choose these two files, we are ready to move ahead. Alright. Perfect. So once these two files you have chosen successfully, now I need to read these two files and then I need to remove the background from the subject file and then replace that background with the background file. If you have seen the previous video, in that I have shown you need to read your image and thereafter you need to remove the background here, and once background is removed, then you do the paste of the foreground image on the background. So this is the kind of the process which we are going to follow here. First of all, we will be reading here subject image. So I write here subject underscore img, that's the subject image, is equal to image from the pillow library which we imported from pil dot open and then subject file. You remember that we wrote here subject file as the path dot join original and the subject name. That means it will be giving us the directory. So with this we will read the subject image. Once we have the subject image, then we are going to display our subject image in the first column. So I write here calls 0 dot image, and in that I write here the subject image, that is the subject img, and for that the caption I'm gonna write here subject image. Alright, once this is true, then I write here huge column width is equal to the true, so that I can display my image in a full column. Thereafter I write here background img is equal to image dot open, and in that I write here the background file. Once I have background file, that I'm gonna write in the first column, that's the second column, image dot img. I write here the background img, that's the background image. Thereafter I need to write here the caption. I write here the caption as background image. Thereafter huge column width is equal to the true. Once all these things are done, now you can see here, once I select here use local image, choose your file and choose your the background. I have chosen here both files, seems like it's the same file. Probably if I choose this one, now you have here your subject image and then you have here your background image. Alright, seems like we are moving forward bit by bit. We have now displayed our image in project UI. Seems like till this we are done. Now we are moving forward where we will remove the background and then we will paste that background. We will paste that this background in our subject image. Alright, so let's go ahead, import our rembg library. So I write here from rembg import remove. Thereafter I'm gonna write here st.title. In this I'm gonna write here removing background from subject image and replacing it with background image. Once these things are done, then if you check it again, you should be seeing there it has here a title. Thereafter I'm gonna put there the slider like we had seen here in our project UI. I'm gonna put here a slider and the value of the slider will move from 0 to 255. And for that I write the name of that, the value. I'll be reading that value in threshold variable. So I write here threshold is equal to the st dot slider, and in this slider I write there the minimum value and the maximum value. So it's going to start with the 0 to 255. Thereafter I write there the number of steps I want there, and the number of steps in which my slider will move, I'm gonna write there 5. Alright, that's the step. But before that I need to write here default value. The default value I write here 50, and then the step is equal to the 5. That means it will be moving, our slider will be moving, this slider will be moving in the step of the 5 there. Now if you check our application, you should be able to see there the threshold there, but seems like that the 0 value is not expected there, so we can remove that. In fact, I don't need to remove the 0. Seems like a little mistake I have made it here. Okay, in slider, obviously I didn't give there the label, so this label is actually missing. That's why that error is coming there. So in this I write here background threshold. Alright, now if you check it, you should be able to see your slider. Now this slider will move into the step of the 5. You can change the value of this slider from 0 to 255. Now based on the value of this slider, the background image will be removed from the subject there. Alright, let's go ahead and move forward. Now I'm gonna again create here the columns. I write here calls is equal to the st.columns. I'm gonna create here the 2 columns. Now in the first column I'll be writing our image where the background is removed. In the second column, subject and the background will be merged together. Alright, moving forward, let's go ahead and remove the background. For that, I'm gonna create here output file name, which I'll be storing into masked folder. So I write here masked, and then I'm gonna add here the name of our the subject file. So I say here masked / plus subject name. You can either use there os.path.join, otherwise you can simply use this, something like this, where we provide the output file name. Thereafter I write here f is equal to open, and then output file, I'm gonna write it into a binary mode. So I write here wb. Thereafter I'm gonna open our subject image. I write here subject img is equal to the open, and then I'm gonna open our subject file. Do you see this subject file was actually created from here, and the subject file was modified here, and the path of the subject file goes in original folder and then the name of the file. So I'm gonna read that subject image there. Once you read your subject image, you can simply remove your background. You can get just the subject. I'm gonna call here remove method from the rembg. So I write here remove, and then I write there the subject file, in fact the subject img. This is the subject img. Then you will see there this background will get removed, but other than that there are few more parameters which I'm gonna control, like we had seen in our previous lecture, where I controlled alpha matting and alpha matting foreground threshold. So these two things I'm gonna control there, so that I can control this background image removal with our slider. So I'm gonna say here alpha matting. Alright, so I write there alpha underscore matting is equal to true. Thereafter I write there the alpha matting foreground threshold there. Alpha matting foreground threshold, that slider value will be used here, which we created there. So this alpha matching threshold decide that how much threshold you want to remove from the subject there. Alright, so with that slider we will be controlling that. Once you get your subject, you can simply write it f dot write, and then you can write your subject in the file, output file, and then I write here f dot close. Once all these things are done, thereafter you can simply display this image directly there. Alright, in the calls 0, so I write here the calls 0 and then the image. This image is written in output file, I'm gonna write that, and the caption I'm gonna select here subject image without background. Alright, and then I say here use slider to control removal, background removal. Alright, and then I say here use column width is true. Once you write all these, you can simply see it here. Seems like it says that the subject file is not defined because I did not choose the local image. Thereafter I choose their browse image, I choose this one, thereafter I choose here this one. These two things are chosen there. Now it is going to remove, but seems like something is wrong here. Let me see it, what is missing there. Okay, so seems like IO text wrapper is not supported. Okay, something is wrong with our image. Okay, so that image, something is wrong here actually. First of all, I need to open this and I need to read it into a binary mode. Thereafter, I need to call here read method. So these two things were missing there. Once you do this, then go back here. Now you should be able to see your removed background here. It may take a while to remove your background. Now you can clearly see that the background is removed. And then you can choose this background threshold slider. Alright. So based on this threshold, you will see there these, the outer line will be controlled based on these value. If I put it very high, now you see all those smaller, the furs which were around this horse, now those got removed, and this seems like a very good threshold value where this whole background is removed. Alright, now you can clearly see that this background is removed. Now our another task here is to actually paste our the subject background. I mean to say that replace this background and then paste that image in the second column. Alright, now I'm moving forward. I'm gonna use here background image. So I write here background img is equal to image dot open, and in this open, if you remember, we have that background file. So that background file was actually modified here, which goes inside this original and the background name, which I select, that becomes as the background file. Alright, so we got here background image. Now the another thing you need to notice here, there could be the many times where your input and these background image may not be the same size. So we have to first make sure that input and this background image have same size. So some of these pre-processing we have to do here, that I can that I can do with the resizing, but for that I need to get here the subject image. So this time I need the subject image, which is actually this one. Alright, because this one I need to paste it here. I don't need this one as the subject image. That is why I'm gonna read subject image once again. So I write here image dot open. a removed background is going to be a subject image this time. That means this was written here in the output file. So this I'm gonna use there this time there. Alright, so subject image open with the output file. Alright, this one. Thereafter we have background and the subject file. Let's go ahead and resize our background image. So I write here background img is equal to background img dot resize, and in that I write here the subject img dot size. So it will resize our background image as per our input or subject image size. Once all these things are done, you can simply write here background img dot paste. In this we need to provide here the actual image. Thereafter we need to provide here the tuple which says that from where you want to actually merge your image. Thereafter it says that the mask. That means I need to use this image from here the 00 location. That's the kind of the axis location. For that I'm gonna say here the subject img, that's the actual image, and then it needs the starting coordinates that I want is the 00. That means I want to just superimpose subject image with the background image. Thereafter I'm gonna again write here the mask. So I'll be using the subject image as the mask and as the image. So the subject image will be coming here the 2 times. Once all these things are done, I'm gonna just store this. So I'm gonna write here subject img dot save, and this one I'm gonna store in masked folder somewhere here. I say here as the background dot png. All right. In fact, I'm gonna store it as the jpg. Thereafter I'm gonna say here the format, and in this format I define as the jpeg format. That's the storage format. Once all these things are done, now I'm gonna display our merged image in the column 1. So I'm gonna write here calls 1 dot image, and in that I'm gonna just simply write our background image. All right, so for that one it's going to be here. This is the path of our background image which is going to be written there, and then I'm gonna say here the caption. All right, and then I say here the merged image. I say there the huge column width is equal to the true. That's all you need to do. Now you should be able to see it here. If you click on use local image, click on browse file, and then click on National Horse Day, and then you choose the another background from here. I'm going to choose here background. So this is your original image. In this background will get removed, and then this will get replaced there. Now do you see that it is doing here perfectly fine? You can use this slider to control here, you know, these some of these hedges which are coming along this this horse there. But one issue you see there, once you put it very high, then a little you can see the ear of this horse is actually cutting there. So you can put it somewhere here. Perhaps it will be more better than what we had there the previously. Alright, so that's how you can build a UI. Right now we have built this UI where you use this drag and drop file. That means you can use a file from your local computer. But how would you modify this where you can use the file directly from the internet? If you uncheck this one, so we are getting these errors. These errors are happening because we have used here if only. We have not used else there. So I'm going to check, I'm going to use here else. So that means if that is not selected, then I'm going to use there the to image text input, where we will be providing the URLs of those 2 images, and then we will be processing those 2 images. So I'm going to simply write here the subject URL is equal to calls 0, and then I write here text input, and in this text input I say there enter subject image URL, and the default value of this is going to be the empty. And then I write here the background underscore URL is equal to the calls 0 dot text input, and in that I'm gonna say here enter background URL. Default value is going to be there none. Now if you check it here, you are getting these two text input where we will be putting the URLs from the online, so that we can use these URLs directly instead downloading images on your local computer. Other than that, I need to put it here as the 1. Once these things are done, then we need to download these images, and then we need to save these images. Thereafter we need to actually provide the file path for these downloaded images. Alright, so first of all I need to get here the subject name, that means the file name. So I write here the subject name, whatever the URLs we put there, for that URL I'll be using the last part of that URL as the image. For example, if you come here and if you search there horses or the images, I'm gonna just simply bring these horses here. You can check it here. So once I bring these horses here, so these URLs, I'm gonna get these URLs, or you can get any other URLs, probably this URL as well, or any other URL, whatever the URLs you like. Right click on that and then copy image address. Alright, you come here and you paste it here. So this last part I'm gonna use this as the file name. That's all I'm saying there. And similarly for the background, that last part I'll be using as the file name there. So I write there the subject name is equal to subject URL dot split. I'm gonna split it on the forward slash. Do you see that with the forward slash? Then I'll be taking this last part of that list, so that I can say that as the subject name. After doing that, I get here the last part of that URL as the subject name, and similarly I get the background name is equal to background URL dot split with the forward slash, and that the last part of that list we are going to get as the background name. Once you get all these, let's go ahead and build the subject and background file path. So I say here the subject file is equal to os.path.join. Now we have got the name. We will be storing these images in this original folder as well. So I write there the subject file is equal to original and then subject name. So it's going to find this directory and then it is going to store it with the subject name there. Thereafter I have here background file is equal to the os.path.join, and then I write it here as the original background name. Alright, so the file name, original subject name, and the background name is there. Once all these things are done, let's go ahead and download the subject image and the background image. Then we will store these images in the respective folders there. So I write here the subject. I'm going to just download it. If you remember in our previous lectures how we downloaded, it's very simple. You need to write here image.open bytes.io request.get with the URL and then the content. That's all you need to do there. So I write here the subject image is equal to the image.open. Inside that I'm gonna get here bytes input output from the URLs. So I write here the requests dot get and then the subject URL, and out of this subject URL I'll be reading here the content. That's how I get the subject image, and then I store this subject image there, subject image dot save, and we have our subject file where we are going to store our subject image. So subject file is this one inside this original folder with the subject name. Alright, thereafter the format I'm gonna store here as the JPEG format. This is the same thing I can do with our background img. So I write here the background img is equal to image dot open, and then I write here the bytes input output requests dot get, and inside that I need to say here the background URL, and then that I say here that's the content. All right, perfect. So I got here background image. Let's go ahead and store this background image with the background img dot save, and then I write here the background img. All right, once in fact not the background img, it should be the background file which I got from here, and then there would be a format, and there I'm gonna store as the JPEG format. Alright, so that's all you needed to do there. Now if you check your application, it should be able to give you the proper result. Seems like some error is coming. This error is coming because these two URLs are empty. Let's go ahead and fill these two URL with these horse images. I'm gonna copy this image address from here, and then I put it here, and thereafter I'm gonna get here the image background. So for that I'm gonna just get here kind of the field JPEG. Some of these fields probably I can get, probably this one. I'm gonna get the copy image address from there, I'm gonna paste it there, and that's all I need to do. I'm just gonna remove that one. Alright, then I click outside somewhere here, it should be able to do that. Okay, seems like this permission is denied. My Norton has actually blocked this Streamlit, so I'm gonna just put here the exclude the process. Alright, once I do that, and then I close it here, and then I need to run it again. So for that I need to just modify this and hit the enter. It should be able to download it right now. Okay, so this time it says that there is invalid argument. This invalid argument is coming while saving this background image. Alright, so seems like because of these parameters it is not able to actually it is not able to store this. Perhaps this one is also I don't need as the image there. Now if I run it here, so here what was happening there were the question marks and all these, so you cannot use those as the picture name. That's why those errors were coming. So this is our original image, a subject image. Now I'm gonna put this horse on this field. So now if you come here, you can clearly see that this horse is actually being replaced with this field image. If you change this background threshold, now you should see there a better actually the background removal. But if you use here a high resolution image, you will see there a more kind of a more accurate result there, because this image size is very less. If you want very high quality background removal, probably you need to use there a kind of a large file or a good quality image perhaps. If I use this one, copy image address from there, and if I replace this one from here, and then if I click somewhere outside, although this is also not very good, but perhaps I would be getting here a more better result there. Alright, with this you can control these images, those background removal quality, and you can select here a more better image. Okay, perhaps this one also wrong there, horse.jpg, and then you can choose there the tools, and then the size, perhaps you can choose there the large. All right, so once you have there the large background, large image size, then you can choose this one. This is very good quality image. Choose the copy image address, and then you can put it here. Just click somewhere outside. Now you should be able to see this as a good quality image removal here. All right, it may take a while. We need to wait for a while because this is a very high image, so it will take a very large image, so it will take time there. All right, do you see there? Now this time we have a very good the quality where these backgrounds are removed properly. That's how you can actually use your background image removal and replacement using ML AI dashboard. You can click on here, use local images, then you can choose there the local files you can choose there the local files to remove the backgrounds. All right, perhaps you can choose this one, and then you can choose let me just go there. Where was this? In the download here, and in the original it's reflection, let's say. All right, so this one and this one, now if you see here, you will be having something like this. If you put it here at a very high, since this image quality is not very high, that's why you are not seeing here a good quality background removal. But moreover, that's the process how you can do the background removal. If you don't if you don't want the previous error, something like these which we were getting, you can put the sum of the default value. Perhaps you can choose this image address, or you can choose some other the horse, perhaps this one. Get the image address there from there, and then you can put that image address in the subject URL here as the default address, and then you can choose some field as the default address. Perhaps I'll be choosing this one, or I can choose some other field, probably this one as the default, or I'll be using, no, not this one. Okay, let's go ahead and use this one as the default URL. So I'll be using that as the default background URL. Now if you come back and if you check your application again here, so these are filled as the default URL, and you will be seeing a result something like this. You can control these removal by using these slider. All right, that's how you can put there a default value. Now if you just refresh this application, so this application will come up with the field values which you had as the default value, so it will not throw the error when you start your application, and then you will be getting the result something like that. You can use this slider to control the background removal. All right, so this is all in this video. Thank you so much, and if you like this video, please subscribe this channel and like this video. Thank you.